All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And they are at it again, in the words of Ronald Reagan, except for in a good way this time. The Yang Gang, once again, is trending very high on Twitter with yet another hashtag. Hashtag endorse Andrew Yang is, I believe, number 2 as of this moment in recording. Cody, tell us what's going on.
Yeah, well, according to one metric at least, you'll see that endorse Andrew Yang would be the second trending trend on U.S. Twitter. I can never get that out. Anyway, now we in the past seen something like this happen before, especially during debates, which is the impetus for this one. The debate is tonight coming up. If you're watching this, the debate's only a few hours from now, probably. And but what stood out to me, because this has been before, we've seen, Yang Media Blackout trend, Let Yang Speak trend. We've probably done multiple videos talking about these, but I want to go through and show you guys what this actually is. So what endorse Andrew Yang actually is it's not a call necessarily to get what you might instead. Normally when a candidate announces their endorsements, they're announcing they're being endorsed by, Mobil. I got the Mobil oil endorsement. I got the local firefighter union endorsement. But what's really cool about endorsing Andrew Yang, what I wanted to highlight here, we try to show you guys a lot out there what the Yang Gang is and what kind of like this new grassroots, it's kind of what Twitter grassroots campaigning looks like. And this is what it is. So again, it's not a candidate explaining why he's being endorsed by, Michael Jordan, which I think doesn't really endorse candidates. Anyway,
But that'd be kind of cool.
It's why regular people endorse Andrew Yang. So I'm going to go through and show you guys some. And I think it's really cool. And again, it highlights, we've been kind of, like I said, Andrew Yang is kind of the grassroots candidate of the Twitter era. Grassroots candidacy.
That's fair.
I mean, I don't want to, no flame. We saw the Bernie supporters at the First in the West dinner. And you can definitely tell. It looked like that was probably what grassroots candidacies looked like.
In 1939, going against the Weimar Republic. No.
Way back in the distant past of 2014 when Twitter wasn't as popular. You know what I mean? That was probably really effective 7 years ago. Not even that long ago. But it's just, we live in a different age now. So like I said, I'm going to read through a couple of these. I want to show you guys these. And we'll talk a little more about the impact of why it is trending. Because, of course, it's trending number 1 for me. But again, I'll go back and show you guys. This is according to one metric. It's called Get Day Trends. They have the Expose Andrew Yang tweet second overall, regardless of... And I've seen it as high as 1. Bottom line is trending at the top. Anyway, we're going to go through a few. So I want to raise with you, Card, and tell me what you think. So we have some Spider-Man on Twitter. Shout outs to Spider-Man. And the reason I endorse Andrew Yang is very simple. All the other candidates talking about helping workers. Andrew Yang is talking about helping everybody. He doesn't see me as worthless just because I'm virtually unemployable. And I think one of the most important things he mentions there is the idea that I think what everyone's talking about is there seems to be this, the way I kind of like to sum it up, when you tell people about UBI, a lot of people say one of two things. Either, so billionaires get it? Oh, so poor people just get $1,000? Yes. Everybody get it. There seems to be this thing when you tell somebody about something, they say, but what about this group I don't like? What about them? It's they're part of everybody, man. Yes. So I think it's really interesting you pointed that out. So I just want to read through a couple of these and stop me, Cardin. We have someone saying, I endorse Andrew Yang because private prisons should not exist.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with him too much there.
Stole a Bernie line right there.
Here's the thing, though. Do I really want state-run prisons either? I don't know. I wish we could have just theoretical prisons.
Yes, my political opponents that have imprisoned me for my my exercise of free speech, I want to also be my wardens.
DMV prisons, is that better? Anyway, we have another one from Thomas SV. I endorse Andrew Yang because the polls have been underestimating his support. That's an interesting one. We see with the next video of Yang arriving in Northern Virginia. And I'm just going to scroll through these a little bit because I wanted to show you guys something. And the biggest thing I wanted to highlight here, again, the main reason why I thought this would stand out is kind of interesting is, and we've seen it before, but one common complaint we see levied, or not even complaint, it's the line of attack levied against the Yang Gang time and time again, is this notion that the Yang Gang's a bunch of bots. It's a bunch of bots. It's not real people. Which is funny to me. That always scares me. It's those people who disagree with me, they don't exist. It's wow, I got some bad news for you, man. They do, and they still disagree with you. But I wanted to go through and highlight here with you guys. You go through this, and I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe these bots are really, really sophisticated. Maybe they're really, really, really good sophisticated bots. And another thing I wanted to show you is the fact that this is trending above impeachment talk. I get that it's a little bit later in the day. It's still going on. Impeachment talk on Twitter currently in the United States is being dominated by I endorse Andrew Yang talk by a bunch of these Twitter bots. And again, I'm scrolling through. Maybe you guys can tell me there's a bunch of bots. To me, it looks like a bunch of real people. I'll just stop on ones right here. Some David Miller. I endorse Andrew Yang because I automate IT tasks at work, and this is becoming a standard efficiency practice across the board in my field. I've also met him several times, and he's the nicest, smartest, and most straightforward leader I've ever met. Don't tell my boss. But again...
Don't tell my boss.
pretty sophisticated bot that's writing that, right?
Oh,
The
man.
little,
Well, please, what do you mean don't tell your boss? Conservatives don't fire people for their political views. Only leftists do.
What? I think sucking up to your boss is bipartisan. I think that goes across political lines, wanting your boss to like you. But again, just the reason why I really wanted to highlight this again, and I've said this a couple times, and Cardin, stop me if you think interesting you want to read here individually.
No, you're on a roll, dog.
This
Keep it up.
idea that the Yang Gang is a bunch of bots is always interesting to me because time and time again we see that it isn't. I mean, look at this. We have it as trending worldwide.
Like, hey, wait, but Cody, I will stop you on this. Like, can we not even entertain that argument?
It's trending
because it's
globally
the same
now.
as the argument of Donald Trump is a Russian asset and he was converted in the 80s and the Russians swung our election. It's like, just like Andrew Yang says, when we're talking about him, he's winning. I think almost like when we're defending ourselves, well, not ourselves, but when the Yang Gang, we're defending the Yang Gang, it's like, see, they're not bots. Like it's almost just so childish. I feel it's below us.
But no, I don't necessarily think it needs to be like along those lines. I just think it's, I mean, as long as people are going to keep saying that the Yang Gang is a bunch of bots, I think it's going to be interesting when we look at examples where it's just like, it's just weird to me because it's just like, really? It just doesn't, It doesn't look like it. It doesn't seem like it's a bunch of bots. We were just in Las Vegas with a bunch of bots. Like, it's like the fact that just to go back to what I said earlier, apologize. I think what we're seeing here is there's the people that are the kind of old school as in, like I said, 2 elections ago, grassroots political people. And they're seeing what the Yang Gang's doing on Twitter. They're seeing what the Yang Gang's doing online. They're seeing what kind of modern online grassroots politics is. And to them, they say, that isn't grassroots politics. What we do is. Those are bots, or they're fake, or they're there's this kind of like, it exists in everything. When the thing that comes to replace you comes, a lot of people like to deny its existence. But when a lot of people who have been kind of doing this kind of grassroots support for years more on the streets and without Twitter and these platforms existing at the level they do now, Twitter, of course, existed in 2012, but I mean, holy cow, it was not nearly what it is today. I mean, being able to mobilize on Twitter and do something like this today, get it just trending, in the top 3 nationally. Again, it's trending above impeachment in 5 words. I was told the biggest conversation in the country. It's what everyone cares about. So all the news can talk about is impeachment. Well, on Twitter they're talking about Andrew Yang, and I think it's worth highlighting that this is probably the future of politics as long as social media exists. This is how people are going to do it, and I think we're in the early adopter phase. We're going to find out everything that's not so great about running a campaign this way, because the early adopter phase. We're also going to find out why it's probably going to be the future of grassroots campaigns. And I would say finding out some of the growing pains while also finding out why it's the future is kind of an okay trade-off.
Yeah, but also it worries me if the future of grassroots campaigns is on Twitter, where
social media space.
Unelected corporatists who definitely favor one party that advances their profitability is controlling our political conversation. Well, rather dystopian to me.
Well, but I think that's another one of the reasons why I think Twitter's idea that it's decided to ban certain political ads is again, like, kind of frightening, this notion that, like, wait, so you can just say that, and not certain political ads. Twitter's banning basically all of them. Now, what I think's funny is in typical Twitter fashion, they please literally nobody. Yeah. Because there's some people who are saying, oh my God, how could Twitter bow down to these people demanding that they're not even targeting Twitter, they're targeting Facebook. And then you have people saying, wait a minute, so ExxonMobil can make an ad talking about what they do, but you can't make an ad talking about climate change? Like, in typical Twitter fashion, no one's happy. But that is another really important thing to bring up. This is a great way for people to kind of let their voices be heard, because we've seen for a while. I mean, honestly, we're going to get down a rabbit hole here, but you could almost make the argument that this is the best argument for ending Citizens United, I would say, is making it so money is less required to boost the volume of your voice, because you can do it so much on Twitter through other ways. Where I think the idea of maybe you can fill some of these packs, because I think. Oh,
you mean like a natural going away of the importance in?
Yeah, I guess that is down. But just the idea of if because here's the thing is, if the mob can overrun you on Twitter, no matter how much money you spend to get whatever you want, trust me, I think more money was spent to get impeachment in 5 words trending than endorse Andrew Yang. I can guarantee you more money was spent to get Grammys trending than endorse Andrew Yang.
Yeah.
You know what? I can guarantee you that. Again, worth pointing out, Sondland, who is in reference to the impeachment hearing, is still the number one trending thing on Twitter.
Okay.
But still, like, you hear what I mean? Like, people spend money to trend this high on Twitter. We're seeing Andrew Yang and the Yang Gang do it organically. My larger point is that Citizens United and just the practice of having these super PACs and people saying, because there is that middle ground between I really support this candidate and I want to give them $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 in a quarter, and I want to give this candidate $100 million. You know what I mean? Like, there is the people that it's like, look, I am maxed out, but I want to keep contributing. I hear that, but maybe. But then again, you're right. Don't listen to what I just said. We shouldn't be giving Mark Zuckerberg our money to do this for us. So. But
like, he's the ultimate arms dealer.
Super PACs are Mark Zuckerberg, right? Like, is there real? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing is, like,
who do you trust?
This is my only problem with the whole Zuckerberg argument is that, I mean, he's the ultimate arms dealer. Argentina sold wheat, flour, sugar, and honey to both the Axis and the Allied powers during World War II. Okay, they got massively rich off of a very profitable war for them, because they were literally selling war goods and rations to both sides. You know who else got rich? Were the arms manufacturers. All right, you know, and Zuckerberg and the Twitter and Twitter and all these social media companies will forever perpetuate political division, because every time election comes up, they know everybody has to dump their advertising dollars into them to get anywhere. So it's like, we are literally incentivizing a company to divide us politically so we can throw money at them when it's time to win our elections. Because whether you're on the side of Donald Trump or on the side of Elizabeth Warren, let's just say those were the two people on debate stage. Both Elizabeth Warren and Donald Trump are giving millions of Facebook dollars to who? Mark Zuckerberg. So, I mean, I just... That's the ultimate grift.
But how about this, though? I mean, like I said, man, there's money being spent. CNN is treating, not only CNN, a lot of these networks are treating impeachment like some corporate product, like a TV show. Hey, check out the next season of Impeachment. And like they advertise it that way. They want, the larger point is they want this thing trending. Again, I want to highlight, as far as actual trends on Twitter, not terms, but trends go, number one's endorse Andrew. It's the number one trend on Twitter right now, above impeachment. So I think it brings up the question of, what do Americans actually want to talk about? Is it impeachment? Now, that being said, like I said, Sondland's dominating terms being used on Twitter. But I've said this a million times, but like I said, this, I think, is in the future what we're going to see campaigns ran more and more like. Because what we're seeing, again, what Endorse Andrew Yang literally is real people going to Twitter to explain why they want Andrew Yang to be president.
Yeah, I think organic postings.
How about this? I endorse Andrew Yang because most people share his proposals with say he might be 50 years early.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Oh, and by the way, shout out Musicians for Yang. Met them a couple times. Very nice. But these are just real people taking to the internet to voice exactly why it is they support their candidate. And they've done it to such an overwhelming amount that is actually dominating the impeachment discussion in this country right now. And again, we're recording this 3 p.m. Pacific. I mean, this is, I believe, the impeachment hearings wrapping up. I mean, we're right in the middle of it. And still, when it comes to what the number one trend on Twitter is, it's endorse Andrew Yang. And again, endorse Andrew Yang isn't, it's not people up in arms. It's literally American voters. Not even all Americans, some people across the world, but voters and supporters of Andrew Yang taking to Twitter to voice exactly what it is about their candidate they support. And I don't know, man. With the debate coming up tonight, does this help a campaign? I would have to say probably yes. Again, Twitter's not real life, and I have to stress this all the time, and it's the counterpoint to my Twitter grassroots future. It's not real life. But I don't know, man. We will find out so much about what this actually means because of Andrew Yang's candidacy this year, because of stuff like this. Because real people going to Twitter to get something dominating what's supposed to be the national conversation, the impeachment conversation. I mean, we have someone right here. I endorse Andrew Yang because we need systemic change, and it starts with humanity first and human-centered capitalism. More than a slogan or policy, they're a paradigm shift, they're a vision that we can all unite behind because they can create an America that works for us all. Okay.
All right.
Just average voters actually having because this is my larger point. For how many years would there be a candidate you support who's kind of a less mainstream candidate, and like no one would ever hear why you care about them. No one would ever know they exist. No one would ever, if you try to mention them, like, I don't know, I don't know who that is. Sorry. You know what I mean? This is one of those first times you can actually go to someone and say, Google Andrew Yang, look up this candidate around the media, around the gatekeepers. It's one of the first times people could just go to the internet and it's kind of one of the cool things about Twitter being the global town square is that real people can go on Twitter and actually kind of take over and let their voice be heard, just voicing their opinion of why they endorse who they endorse for president. Again, we're not talking about why the firefighters union or the teachers union or AT&T or, the Teamsters support a candidate. We're talking about why real average American citizens and not these unions and groups and much more just amorphous things, right? We're talking about real human beings,
soulless corporations.
Yeah, entities. They're entities. Not even, you know what I mean? Like corporate entities. I don't care who they endorse. Yeah. I care more about who you Americans endorse. I don't know. Call me crazy. Maybe I'm an idealist, that I care more about what the voters endorse than I care about the giant corporations that are beholden to no country, who they endorse.
Beholden to no country.
Anyway, I thought was really cool, and I wanted to highlight this because it shows, like I said, it shows what elections I think are going to look like. I think when Andrew Yang said by the end of his campaign, either he's going to win or everyone's going to sound like him. I also think by the end of his campaign, either he's going to win or a lot of campaigns are going to be ran like his when it comes to 2024. So
they can only dream to be run like his. I mean, the way he was addressed as a rock star coming on that stage in Nevada was wholly unique to him. I mean, people were flooding that stage. I got to tell you, anybody in the audience, regardless of what you feel about Andrew Yang and his policies and his party and whatever, you need to experience a Yang event. It's Trump events and Yang events, man. You just got to experience them once.
Well, that's a good analogy for grassroots because the Trump event is in the military hangar with the gigantic private jet. The Yang event's a little bit more grassroots at small scale. It's still ton of energy, ton of support. It's people out there actually supporting their candidate. But I think that's a good way, right? Like, because people like to, we've talked about this before, people like to paint Andrew Yang as the tech bro Silicon Valley. He's worth less money than Bernie Sanders, right? Like, can we cut this nonsense that he's some ultra, no, Andrew Yang is not the wealthiest guy in the world. So Dude, he is running more of a real grassroots campaign in that sense.
It is so true. Remember the video we did on how little he is worth?
It was Forbes recently had to write another article saying, actually, guys, Andrew Yang isn't worth that much money. People have this. I think it's because he sold his company for hundreds of millions. People think that means he just deposited the big check you get from winning the PGA Tour into but I think he gave a lot of that was diverse to employees and probably some of it to paying off some business recruit debt. I'm assuming he didn't, because he's only worth $2 million now. Either that or he really ran a nonprofit, or he unfortunately ran a nonprofit legit and just lost money for 7 years. They're kind of not lost, but you know what I mean. You're not supposed to make money.
Well, things happen when you're not a grifter. You know what I'm saying?
Again, though, just to come back, and while you're closing up, Card, I'm just going to run in the background all these tweets. It doesn't look like bots. I know we are kind of biased because we talk to the Yang Gang a lot, but I mean, it is funny to me people denying it. The fact that people are denying this is real is what tells me and what convinces me that this is actually
the only thing that freaks me out is that is literally the modern millennials' coping mechanism is just to deny that it is real.
Not even millennials, I would just say in people in general.
Donald Trump, not my president, not my president, not my president. Russian bots.
If the Yang Gang doesn't exist.
Tulsi, how dare she rebel? How dare she rebel against against the establishment? How dare she rebel? Must be Russian agent. It's the worst coping mechanism known to man. Hashtag just saying.
Exactly. And again, I'll go through. I'm just kind of running through the tweets in the background. But there we go. I don't know, Cardin. Oh, now I am. Unfortunately, because I just switched to latest, nowadays actually just showing us the actual bot accounts. You know what? I'm going to highlight how important, how cool this Yang thing is. The actual and bot accounts that just have all of the top trends jammed into them so everyone sees them. The actual spam accounts that have nothing to do with the trend and just put a bunch of stuff in there, they're even stealing the trend. So it's obviously it's happening. And again, you might see some of the same accounts posting multiple times. It's mostly because those are people I follow, so Twitter just keeps showing me their tweets because I follow them or they follow me. But I mean, again, I'm just going through maybe tweets in general and you see, I don't know. People are, like you mentioned, when people have this weird knee-jerk, no, it isn't real reaction, that kind of tells me maybe it's something, maybe there is something here. Maybe they're afraid of this for a reason. So
I do not think you know what that means. Okay, I totally dated myself with that movie quote. So anyway.
Princess Bride?
Yeah, Princess Bride.
That's not that old.
Total movie from the 80s, man.
Yeah, 80s?
Yeah. Don't date yourself too,
Like
bro.
a Casablanca quote. You know?
Yeah, you're right. That's true. It's not like I was quoting, Nosferatu or
Exactly.
something.
Well,
So
I believe
that would just make me cool and hipster,
I
though.
believe Nosferatu is a silent film. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it was the first vampire film made in the French in like
Just
the
saying.
teens. Or
Hard
the
to quote
20s.
silent films generally.
Yeah. That's true. So anyway, let us know what you guys think. If you haven't had a chance yet, check us out at problemsolverpolitics.com and follow us on Twitter at PSP Radio 1 and make sure you leave us a voicemail at 1-833-PSP Radio. This is Problem Solver Politics.